Translation. Tekva, abandoning. Sudistyaja, most difficult to give up. Sura Ipsita, anxiously desired by the demigods. Rajya Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune and her opulence. Dharmista, most perfectly fixed in religiousness. Arya Vachasa, according to the words of a Brahmana who had cursed him to be deprived of all the happiness of family life. Yet, he who Agat went Aranyam to the forest, taking to the renounced order of life. Maya Mrugam, the conditioned soul, who is always searching out illusory enjoyment. Daitaya, out of sheer mercy. Ipsitam is the desired object. Anvadavat, running after. One day I offer my homage. Mahapurusha, O Lord Mahaprabhu, te to your Charanaravindam, lotus feet. Translation by Evangelist A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. O Mahapurusha, I worship your lotus feet. You gave up the association of goddess of fortune and all her opulence, which is most difficult to renounce and is hankered after by even the great demigods. Being the most faithful follower of the path of religion, you thus left for the forest in obedience to a Brahmana's curse. Out of sheer mercifulness, you chased after the fallen conditioned souls, were always in pursuit of the false enjoyment of illusion, and at the same time engaged in searching out your own desired object, Lord Shyam Sundara. Please repeat again. Translation. O Mahapurusha, I worship your lotus feet. He gave up the association of goddess of fortune and all her opulence, which is most difficult to renounce and is hankered after by even the great demigods. Being the most faithful follower of the path of religion, you thus left for the forest in obedience to a Brahmana's curse. Out of sheer mercifulness, you chased after the fallen conditioned souls, were always in pursuit of the false enjoyment of illusion, and at the same time engaged in searching out your own desired objects, Lord Shyamchandra. Try to understand. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanasarapaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Panghum Langayate Girim Yat Krupa Tamaham Vande Sri Gurum Denatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Isu. Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Krupa Sindhubhyaeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Dadati Swapadantikam. Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the opportunity to speak from Srimad Bhagavatam. Initially, His Grace Mukunda Datta Prabhu supposed to give. He was not available. We couldn't find speakers. So Madhubodha Prabhu had asked me to give. So I take this opportunity that I hope I'll speak something by all of your blessings. I can say something which will be beneficial for me, purifying for me, and also for all of you. I hope I can inspire by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So, here, this verse is speaking about the three personalities, these four lines, speaking about Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. First time, just two verses before, is talking about the actual Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance and his associates and why he appeared. And then further is this 33 and 34 are very beautiful verses to offer, remember and meditate and offer these. Every day we can offer these prayers. And there is also verse at the end of this chapter, this whole chapter. Basically, the context here, King Nimi is asking Nava Yogendras, who are Nava Yogendras. The Lord Rishabhadev had 100 sons. Out of 100, 9 of them became the great yogis, these Nava Yogendras, who were taken to the path of Bhakti Yoga, completely dedicated their life to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna and spreading his glories. 9 of them, they are called Nava Yogendras. And then 10 of them became the Kshatriya kings like Bharat Maharaj and others. Remaining 81 of them are taken to path of Karma Kanda, fruitive activities, Smarta, and they became. So here in this chapter, Narada Muni is teaching to Vasudeva, Lord Sri Krishna's father. And in that, Narada is relating the incident of King Nimi asking Navayogendras how what happens to those living entities who doesn't take up the path of devotion. What happens to them? Uh, then the almost 20 or so verses explains that what happens those will enter into path of hellish regions, darkest region, those who doesn't take up the path of devotion service, doesn't worship the Supreme Lord. Then later on again, King Nimi asks, please explain about the incarnations of the Supreme Lord, various incarnations, how Lord appears. So then that's how in that context here the Navayogendras are explaining about the Lord appearing in these 4 yugas in different colors, different forms. So especially, and then here he's speaking about the incarnation of the Lord in Kali Yuga as Avatari, and the Lord, the Supreme Lord himself is appearing in Kali Yuga, how he appears, and he's offering his and Prabhupada emphasizes that we should follow this Navayogendra's King Karabhajana Muni and follow and worship and meditate on the Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. Vande Mahapurushate Charanaravindam. If I remember correctly, I think at the end of Upachar, when we do, there are 2 verses. I don't exactly remember. I think this is the same verses. I think Mahapurusha. It's about last 2 verses after we finish the Upachar. There are prayers. So in that also, I think these verses are referred, I believe. Anyway, so we'll just read what is the benefit of reading this chapter, especially wonderful benefit is being given at the end of this chapter. The last verse of this chapter is giving the beautiful इतिहासम इमं पुण्यम धारयेत्य समाहितः स विदूय इह शमलम ब्रह्म भूयाय कल्पते. Anyone who meditates on this pious historical narration, itihasam means historical, imam this punyam pious historical narration, sa viduya iha in this world, sa viduya means all the contamination. Samalam, one who is hearing this narration with fixed attention, Samalam. Then what happens? Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. He will purify himself, Viduya, purify himself of all contamination, and in this very life and achieve the highest spiritual perfection. So that is the benefit of reading this chapter every day, this 11th canto, 5th chapter. Almost 55 verses or 50 plus verses are there. Now, so the Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had shown 6-armed form, Shadbhuj form, 3 times through to 3 different devotees. So we'll just read from Chaitanya Bhagavat and Chaitanya Bhagavat, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then we will get into the details, understanding this verse, because first we want to get the sweetness of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then, so first time, so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed to 6-armed form, different kind of Sadbhuj form, to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. So this is from Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Kanda, chapter 5. So here, after so Lord Nityananda Prabhu came to Nandana Acharya's house and he was hiding, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had asked devotees, go and search, bring Lord Nityananda Prabhu. They couldn't find it, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally went, as we all know. So after that happened, so he met, and both of them hugged each other. Tears were flowing down in ecstasy. And then they came back. So the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought Lord Nityananda Prabhu to Srivas Angan. Today is the appearance day of Srivas Thakur. So I offer my respectful obeisances, humble obeisances to the lotus feet of Srivas Thakur, and take his blessings. So at Srivas Angan, so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Srivas, please worship Vyasdev. uh, use the prayers and worship Vyasdev, and that Lord Nityananda Prabhu is Balram is showing how to worship Vyasdev, the Adi Guru. So here in that day, so where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is instructing Srivas Thakur, so this Lord has showed Sadbhuj form to Nityananda Prabhu. So this is from Madhya Kanda, part 1, Chaitanya Bhagavat, chapter 5, verse number 91. देखी लेना नित्यानंद प्रभु विश्वंबर माला तुली दिला तांड्रा मस्तक ऊपर. As Nityananda saw Lord Vishwambar standing before him, he offered the garland to him. Chanchara chikure mala sobeyati bala chaya puja Vishwambara haila tatkala. The garland looked most enchanting upon the curly hair of the Lord. At that time, Vishwambara manifested his six-armed form. Shankha Chakra Gada Padma Sri Hala Mushala Dekiya Muchita Haila Nitai Vihvala. On seeing the six things, please hear attentively, because these are the six different kind of Sadbhuj form as shown to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. On seeing the conch, disc, club, lotus, plow, and musala, Nitai was overwhelmed and fell unconscious. Being garlanded by Lord Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Chaitanya Dev displayed his six-armed form. In these six hands, he held the conch, disc, club, lotus, plow, and mushala. And upon seeing this, Lord Nityananda fell unconscious in ecstasy. Sadpuja deki mucha paila nitai, padila prudvi tale datu matranai. As soon as Nitai saw the six-armed form, he fell unconscious to the ground with no symptoms of life. Paya Pailena Saba Vaishnave Ragana Raksha Krishna Karena Smarana. All the Vaishnavas became frightened and prayed, Oh Krishna, please protect him. Oh Krishna, please protect him. Unkara Karena Jagannadera Nandana Akshe Tali Dei Gana Vishala Garjana. The son of Jagannatha roared loudly and repeatedly slapped his sides. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. मुच्च केला नित्यानंद सद्भुज देखिया आपने चैतन्य तोले गाया हाथ दिया उत उत नित्यानंद स्थिराकार चित्त संकीर्तन सुनः तुम्हारा समाहित समिहित. When Nityananda fell unconscious on seeing the six-armed form, Lord Chaitanya personally picked him up with his own hands and said, Oh Nityananda, get up and study your mind. Listen to the congregation chanting that you have began. यही कीर्तन निमित्त तुम्हारे अवतार से तुम्हारा सिद्ध हैला किबा चहारा. The Kirtana for which you have incarnated to inaugurate is going on before you. What more do you want? तुम्हारा से प्रेम भक्ति तुम्हें प्रेम माया विना तुम्हें दिले करो भक्ति नहीं हाया. Loving devotion service belongs to you, for you are the personification of ecstatic love. Unless you distribute this devotion service, no one can possess it. Apana sambari uta nija jana chaha, yahare tumhara icha, tahare vilaha. Please control yourself and get up. Glance mercifully on your intimate associates and distribute this wealth to whomever you desire. This is the first instance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showing the six-armed form to Lord Nityananda. The second instance is showed to Sarabhau Bhattacharya, where Sarabhau Bhattacharya was a incarnation of Brahaspati, and he was very much expert in logic and arguments. And Sarabhau Bhattacharya used to teach he used to have a Vedanta school, and he used to teach this logic and arguments and all the Vedanta sutras. So when he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 7 days, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya spoke to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't speak a single word. He didn't say anything. He didn't ask questions. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was very much, what's happening. He's not asking any question. Are you understanding everything? Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke later in great detail how you have actually you didn't present the actual confidential meaning of Vedanta Sutra. You changed it with your own logic and arguments. That is not the actual purpose or the real meaning. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained. So then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya completely was mesmerized and of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's uh, form and his actual his his personality. And then he offered hundred songs as prayers. So here we see that. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has showed 6 song form. This is in Chaitanya Bhagavat Antya Kanda Part 1. So this is the second time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed 6 sound form, two flute and stick of Lord Krishna, and 2 arms he is showing as Lord Ramachandra with bow and arrow, and the 2 arms is showing Kamandalu and water pot of Lord Chaitanya. So in this way, here in this verse, it is showing basically about explaining about Lord Krishna's beautiful form and also Lord Ramachandra and Lord Chaitanya. So that's why we are discussing about this, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed. So this is in chapter 3, verse number 100 to 105. लोक व्याख्या करे प्रभु करिय हुंकारा आत्म भावे हैला सद्भुज अवतार प्रभु बले सार्वभौमा की तोरा विचार संन्यास अमार नहीं है अधिकार संन्यास की अमी है ना तोरे चित्तलाया तोरा लागी येता अमी हैलु नूदया बहु जन्म मोरा प्रेमे तेजली जीवन अतैव तोरा अमी दिलून दर्शन संकीर्तन आरंभे मोहर अवतार अनंत ब्रह्मांडे मुनि वही नहीं आरा जन्म जन्म तुम्ही मोरा शुद्ध प्रेम दासा अतैव तोरे मुनि हैलुन प्रकाश. After explaining the verse, the Lord roared loudly and manifested his 6 sound form. The Lord said, "O Sarvabhauma, what do you think? Am I not qualified to take sannyas? Do you think I am a mere sannyasi? I came here for your sake. You have spent many lifetimes trying to attain love for me. Therefore, I am revealing myself to you. I have incarnated to inaugurate the Sankirtan movement throughout the innumerable universes. I alone am qualified. You are my purely devoted servant, birth after birth. Therefore, I have revealed myself to you." Actually, this verse is also a significant verse because it is showing the Srila Prabhupada himself, Srila Prabhupada's purpose of coming is been also been given confidentially in this verse. Arya Vachasa. We'll go into that once we finish this verses. Throughout the innumerable universes, I alone am qualified. You are my purely devoted servant, birth after birth. Therefore, I have revealed myself to you. साधु उद्धारिमो दुष्ट विनाशिमो सभा चिंता किचु nahi tora pada morastava. I will deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreant. Do not worry, just offer prayers to me. अपूर्व सद्भुज मूर्ति कोटि सूर्य माया देखी मुच्चा गेला sarvam mahashaya. That six-armed form of the Lord was most wonderful and as effulgent as millions of suns. Sarvabhauma lost consciousness on seeing that form. This is the same personality who was arguing and giving his argument. He never believed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord. Then Gopinath Acharya, who was his sister-in-law, who was his brother-in-law, his uh, yeah, yeah, Gopinath Acharya. Then he told Gopinath Acharya told Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, you can never understand without the mercy of the Supreme Lord, worshipping the lotus feet. Without His mercy, you can never understand with your logic and argument. Atapi te deva padam bhujadvayam janahi tattvam bhagavan mahimno charan vichinvan. Unless we surrender to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord and His pure devotee, there is no possibility of understanding the actual confidential meaning of the essence of all the transcendental subject matter. So now we can see how by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, then he could see Mahaprabhu showed the six-sound form. The six-sound form of the Lord was most wonderful, as effulgent as millions of suns. Sarvabhauma lost consciousness on seeing that form. Vishala Karena Prabhu Hunkar Garjana Anade Sadbhuja Gaurachandra Narayana. The six-armed Lord Gaurachandra then roared loudly in ecstasy. Vada Sukhi Prabhu Sarvabhaumera Antare Putta Bali Srihasta Dire Nantana Sire. The Lord was greatly pleased with Sarvabhauma. He placed his lotus hand on Sarvabhauma's head and said, get up. Srihasta Parase Vipra Pile Chetana Tatapi Anande Jadana Spure Vachana. By the touch of the Lord's lotus hand, the Brahmana regained consciousness, yet he remained speechless and stunned in ecstasy. Karuna Samudra Prabhu Sri Gaura Sundara Pada Padma Dila Tanra Hrudaya Upara. Lord Sri Gaura Sundara, the ocean of mercy, then placed his feet on Sarvabhauma's chest. Pai Sri Charana Sarvabhauma Mahasaya Haila Kevala Parananda Premamaya. Having received the touch of the Lord's lotus feet, Sarvabhauma Mahasaya became completely filled with transcendental ecstasy. He tightly grabbed the Lord's lotus feet and cried in ecstasy while saying, today I have captured the thief who stole my heart. Druda Kari Pada Padma Dari Premanande Aji Sei Paino Chitta Chora Bali Kande. Aati Nade Sarvabhauma Karena Rodhana Dariya Apurva Pada Padma Ramadhana. Sarvabhauma cried pathetically as he held those wonderful lotus feet, which are the wealth of Rama, the goddess of fortune. Prabhu Mora Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prananath Muni Adamera Prabhu Kara Drushtipada. O Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya, my life and soul, please glance mercifully on this fallen soul. Tumara sei Muni Papi Shikaimu Dharma Na Janiya Tumara Chincha Suddha Marma. I'm so simple that I dared to teach you religious principles. I did not understand your pure, inconceivable glories. In this way, so this is the second time. So Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed six-armed form to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. There's Lord Krishna, Lord Ramchandra, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the third time he showed to King Maharaj Pratap Rudra. This is 2 years after he showed it to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Now, so we'll try to understand this verse. So here first, here it is explained as Tyaktva Sudhishta Surepsita Rajya Lakshmi. So Tyakta means abandoning. Sudhishta is very difficult to give up. Surepsita Rajya Lakshmi. Surepsita means even demigods are hankering after Rajya Lakshmi, especially the goddess of fortune and her opulence. Lord Brahma and all the demigods, everybody is after the goddess of fortune. So it's very difficult to give up. What does that mean here? Tektva sudushtija means most difficult to give up. So the challenge we all living entities have is most difficult to give up. We can give up our wealth, we can give up maybe power, influence, something. But the most difficult thing to give up for all of us is giving up the independence. We're all trying to become independent. We're not able to become dependent on the Supreme Lord or his pure devotee. So that's where the biggest problem is. So that's why here we can see. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has abandoned. He had a beautiful wife, Vishnu Priya Devi, goddess of fortune, and he has a wonderful mother, Sachi Mata. But he gave up. He gave up. He abandoned, and it most difficult to give up, but he abandoned and went and taken sannyas to deliver the conditioned souls. So it is telling the living entities, all of us, to give up this independence and dependent on the pure devotee, and especially even more than the surrendering to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, surrender to his pure devotee. That's what Lord Krishna himself is mentioning in Bhagavad Gita. So, Mad Bhaktya Puja Abhyadika. It is in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita also. We see that Mad Ashraya is directly his shelter or his representative. So, it is very difficult to receive mercy directly from the Supreme Lord. But by his pure devotee's mercy, you can understand. So, Srila Prabhupada gives multiple different examples how this is the independence. So one time, uh, one time in the beginning, His Holiness Jayadvesa Maharaj is sharing in his memories of Srila Prabhupada. So initial days, this is in 67, 68, one devotee, Raya Ram Prabhu, he was a great, he was studying the books. This is in the beginning. He was very much studying Prabhupada books, whatever books were available at the time. And he was very much hearing and everything. And he used to help in the BBT and other things. And then suddenly, after a few months, he was the one of the beginners in the, but he was very much studying and he understand the scriptures and everything. So he was very much like kind of a scholar. So after a few months, he left. Nobody could find why he left. Then, so he came back after almost a year or 2 years. And Maharaj was sharing that when he came back, so he wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada told him, but everybody expected this is a great devotee. He was studying and he was much more, very much following the instructions and everything, much more serious than the rest of them. And he was senior, he was there from the beginning. And then they all thought Prabhupada will immediately accept. So he wrote basically, I came back, I want to be again back in the service of the BBT, that helping Sri Prabhupada. But Prabhupada wrote back letter. All right, you came back. It's very good. But if you want to be back in the service, you must give up your independence. You must be dependent on the instructions of the spiritual master. You must follow the four regulative principles. You must follow the instructions, what is been given, and whatever is the mission we have prescribed, attending Mangalarati and following the chanting and attending the Bhagavatam class. So, and whatever service has been given, following, this is by the under the dependence on the spiritual master and his instructions and in the association of devotees. But if you like to be independent and follow your own thoughts, ideas, then it is not good for you Neither it is good whoever you are associating with, it will spoil everybody else. So if you like to be dependent and follow, then yes, you are more than welcome. You can join back and you can engage, you can be back in your service. So, and Maharaj was sharing that yes, he came back and then he was there only a few months. After that, he left, he didn't come back. So we can understand from this incident that how important it is to be dependent on the Vani, the instructions of the bona fide spiritual master, especially our Krishna Kripa Murti, Antarjati, Krishna Bhavana Murti Sanghas, Srila Prabhupada, the divine grace. So we must understand, we must surrender. There is no other possibility. Gaur Govind Maharaj was saying the same. And it is no, you cannot, you can surrender to Supreme Lord, try hard life after life. Unless you surrender to a bona fide spiritual master, pure devotee, Sri Prabhupada, and follow his instructions strictly, there is no way we can understand, um, understand actually, or attain Krishna Prema, or attain the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So that's why it is very important. It is like we are captured by the Maya. Prabhupada gives an example of a one time he was going in the it was cold winter, so then there was ice particle. Then he knocked he used his cane to break the ice, and then he asked his devotees, "What is this ice? What is this?" Nobody could say anything. What Prabhupada is trying to tell us. Then Prabhupada told, "This ice means Maya. Your original condition of the original state or original state of this ice is water, but now it became ice, like a rock, hard. Hmm? So same way, our heart, our original, actually we are pure living entities. We are supposed to be surrendered and follow, dependent on the Supreme Lord and His instructions. But rather now we became independent, and we became, our heart became with so many anarthas, like it became like a rock, like ice. And unless the ice must be broken up, and it must be under the sun, then it will melt. Same way, so the living entity right now, we are covered with this Maya, illusory energy, as here also it is mentioned, Maya Mrugam Daitepsitam. And because of this covered with Maya, so we must be under the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, and and chanting the holy name of the Lord under the association of devotees. By this, then we can, from ice will again melt and become water. Our original condition, current illusory, we are attracted by this illusory potency of the Supreme Lord, this external nature, the Prakriti, trying to enjoy. Then we will go back to our original state of consciousness if we follow the instruction of um, the spiritual master in this way. Another example also Prabhupada was giving, like somebody said, I think in London, the ordinary means outside person come, Prabhupada, this material nature is a lot of enjoyment. Why can't we enjoy? So then Prabhupada said, it is like this material nature, this enjoyment is like a boil. When you get a boil, what happens? We just simply blow, or we simply go on, you wait, it will go. No, you have to lance that boil. So unless you lance that boil, unless give up your this material enjoyment tendency to be independent, and give up that, there is no possibility to you'll be able to come back to your natural original state. So this is like a boil. We are getting this material energy, different kinds of enjoyment. It's like keep trying to enjoy, and then we are not understanding the suffering we are going through life after life. So, so the instruction from here, from this verse, first word, especially very important point, is to give up that independence and dependent on the bona fide spiritual master, especially. Without that, there is no possibility. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra, like Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi. So it's very important. There also, that's another, I think, His Grace Vyasaki Prabhu is giving beautiful class in Vrindavan recently. And that also is explaining that Prabhupada has emphasized, he himself followed 20 years or 30 years. He simply heard again and again from his spiritual master and other devotees, with rapt attention, simply carried on that Sravanam for 20, 30 years of practice. And because of that, he is able to, after that Sravanam, he is able to do Kirtanam. He is able to give this, glorify the Supreme Lord throughout the world. He went and preached the message of the Supreme Lord and his as well message of his spiritual master, his instructions of his spiritual master, uh, and distributed that after that Sravanam. So, as in Bhagavad Gita, also we see in chapter 3, Krishna is emphasizing the lust is situated in everywhere, the mind, intelligence, and senses. Only way, Jehi Satram Mahabahu Kamarupa Durasadam. So, one must sharpen the intelligence with this Krishna consciousness. We have to hear. Sravanam is very important. Then we'll be able to perfect our kirtan gradually. We'll attain our attraction for the holy name, attraction for the sangha, for the association of devotees, attraction to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Then gradually we'll come to the smaranam. But if Sravanam itself is not focused, then we'll never be able to relish actually our chanting of the holy name of the Lord. So that is very important. And Maharaj is Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj was sharing also another point. One time he didn't get the direct instruction from Prabhupada, but he heard from another disciple of Prabhupada that Prabhupada told him, you must, when you are chanting, you must hear your own voice, your word of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, each and every syllable crystal clearly. Pronounce it and you must hear what you are chanting. That is Maharaj emphasized. This is very important instruction. Because generally we tend to hear many others, but we must hear while chanting, concentrate on the words we are uttering as Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We have to be very focused in hearing. So that way Sravanam is very much emphasized by the Acharya. Satam prasangat mama virya samvido bhavanti hrit karna rasayam tasu ajoshanad apavarga vartamani shraddha bhakti ratir anukramishyati. So Satam Prasangat Mama Virya Samvido. Satam Prasangat, Satam is devotees in the association of Mama Virya Samvido, the Lord's glories and activities must hear. Then what will happen? As Advoshanad Apavarga Vartamani. Apavarga means Pavarga we are in. This Papa, Babama, Parishrama, Vaya, Mrityu. So we are all on this. So then we'll be able to transform from this Pavarga to Apavarga, which is the liberation, giving. So Apavarga Vartam, Shraddha Bhaktir, starting with Shraddha, faith, strong faith to hear. Shraddha Bhaktir Ratir Anukramishyati. Then automatically, gradually from Shraddha, Ado Shraddha, Tata Sadhusanga, Bhajanati, Ratir Anukramishyati. Gradually to lead on to Nishta and Ruchi, Asakti, then Bhava and Krishna Prema. So that's why the starting point is Sravanam. Prabhupada himself told in his humility that as 20 years it took for me to perfect. So that is submitting him in a humble way. For all of us, you can imagine how long it will take, how much focus we need. So that's why here, Chakpa Sudhishta Surepsita Rajya Lakshmi. So what it means, and also many times we give up this independence means don't think that no, we're all dependent. I'm dependent on the mercy of the spiritual master I'm following. But it's very when we get difficult situation in our devotion service, sometimes health because of COVID, it is very difficult. When we face it, then only we'll know. So one time, so is known as Kirtanananda Swami Maharaj is there in India. Generally for Westerners, for some of them, it's very difficult in India. So he was there in Gorakhpur. Prabhupada told him to do some. some preaching. So he tried his best, but it is very difficult in India. It's not so easy, especially if you're not accustomed, not only whether dealing with different people in preaching. He became so much, he frustrated and he wanted to go back. And so he wrote a big letter to Prabhupada and the Prabhupada's secretary, Ham Sadhuta Prabhu, at the time. Then he also didn't like somehow Kirtananand Maharaj. Then Prabhupada he told, means this letter, what he sent. Then Prabhupada rather he told, now you must write him back, write a letter that somehow enthuse him, give enthusiasm. Somehow or other, I want you to write a letter and you must enthuse him, you must inspire him. So then Amsudota Prabhu thought for a day and then meditated on how to do it. Then finally wrote the letter by the instruction of Sri Prabhupada. Then after a few months, then Prabhupada received a wonderful letter from Kirtanananda Maharaj that he was enthusiastically now gave up all his independence, gave up his all his frustration and lamentation and whatnot. He was thinking to go back, but rather now he became enthusiastic and he was very much inspired and ready to conduct. That's why it is a very good instruction for all of us to be in the association of Sangha, inspire each other, always look after other devotees and care for each other. And it's very important in this way. So, with that enthusiasm, patience, and determination, we can really develop our love for a spiritual master, Sri Prabhupada, the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Through our devotions, there are many times, and Arjuna is expressing the same. Oh, I don't want to fight because so many reasons he's telling. We all find various reasons for not doing devotion service, not doing some difficult service. Sometimes spiritual master gives or authority gives, can you do this service? Oh, it's very difficult, Prabhu, very difficult. Can you find somebody else? Sometimes may say that, but it's very important to understand giving up that independence and dependent always on the authority, on the spiritual master, the spiritual Prabhupada. So here we can see that Tekpa Sujistu Sureps Raja Lakshmi, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given up the, and also here Jiva Goswami is mentioning that Raja Lakshmi, Sureps the Raja Lakshmi is also means Lord Krishna. Suri, they compared the Sureps, the Raja Lakshmi means the opulent, the most opulent place of Mathura. Lord Krishna, Supreme Lord Krishna was born in the Mathura, but he gave up because he gave up because why? Dharmista Arya Vachasa Yad Aghad Aranyam. So Dharmista, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's case, especially. So Arya Vachasa, why Lord Krishna left? Arya Vachasa means because under the instruction of his father, he is following the words of his father, because Vasudeva and Devaki was very much fearful because Kamsa is going to come and kill him. That whole pastime where 8 sons of Devaki were killed because this is the pastime of Kalanemi, Hiranyakashipu sons, and he told, since you didn't follow my instructions, you went and directly worshipped Lord Brahma, then uh, you are going to appear again as Kamsa's sons. He himself will kill all of you. So this the whole pastime goes back. This 8 represented in the form of uh, 6 Anardas also. So anyway, Arya Vachasa means Lord Krishna followed under the instruction or direction of his father's will. He left at the Agad Aranyam. He went to the forest of Vrindavan, Vrindavan Dham. Like Vrindavan is a forest. So this is instructing that how Lord Krishna followed the instruction of Vasudeva. It also means it is telling that we must be. Sometimes we tend to parents may not be. I will serve or I will listen whatever I like. We may not properly serve our parents, or we may not follow instruction. Even if they are not Krishna consciousness, we should be very careful not to what you call Maryada Vetikrama. Maryada Vetikrama, we must be very careful not to over not to overgo above our limit. They are our parent. It doesn't matter whether they follow Krishna consciousness or not, but still we should be very careful. Try to follow if they are giving good instruction. If not, at least be quiet and be soft, be gentle. Otherwise, it's not good for us because blessings also coming from the parents. If we don't follow, we are not serving them in proper way, proper etiquette is not there, then whatever bhakti we may try to perform, it's not, we cannot really develop our love. That's also important. And another instruction is also, we see that here Lord cannot be controlled by anybody else, only by his pure devotees. Here Lord himself is being wants to be controlled by Vasudeva, uh, and Devaki and Vasudeva. So that's why he followed that instruction. He wants to be controlled by them. So many other meanings, confident meanings, but this is here Jiva Goswami is mentioning how Lord left the most opulent Surep's the Raj Lakshmi Arya Vachasa because following. So Dharmishta means Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is appeared in the family of a Brahmana. He was following the religious principles. He was very much following the regulative principles and religious principles. So that he is Dharmishta. And Arya Vachasa, Agadaranyam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, because Arya Vachasa, here, where Acharya is explaining Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and others, where it is explained that Arya Vachasa means because Brahmana, one time when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was performing Sankirtan at Srivas Angan's house, where Srivas Thakur is Narada Muni and Srivas Thakur's brother Ramai Pandit. They are four brothers. Ramai Pandit is Narada Muni's friend, Parvata Muni, and others. I forget the other two brothers and their previous forms. So Srivas Thakur, Narada Muni, and Parvata Muni, they are all performing wonderful Sankirtan fully. So that is another instruction also from Srivas Thakur we learned. He never had any independent nature. He completely surrendered to the extent that even when his son passed away while performing Sankirtan, Mahaprabhu performing Sankirtan, he didn't bother. He told rather, don't cry. Mahaprabhu himself, don't uh, give disturbance to Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan. So I will not tolerate. And he didn't, he didn't share that message. If we are in that situation, it's very difficult for us to even fathom. But Srivas Thakur completely, fully dependent because he appeared as a pure devotee and Bhakta avatar. Hmm. So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so when Mahaprabhu was performing Sankirtan, this is after the Gopal Chapal's incident happened. So one Brahmana was very much want to go inside the Kirtan, but door was locked and they are not allowed, especially those who are envious, they are not allowed to enter into Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sankirtan in Sivasangan. So what this Brahmana did, he was very much upset. His mind became very upset in his mind. He went back. Next day, he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on the way to Ganga while going. Then he told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I'm very much aggrieved of what you have done yesterday. You didn't allow me to enter into Sankirtan. I was very much aggrieved. So he opened his Brahmin thread, he broke it, and he cursed. I'm cursing you today that you will be barefoot of all the material opulence and all the material enjoyment. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was, he became very happy hearing this curse, that this is a great benediction. This is what I wanted. So Mahaprabhu was very happy. And there it is mentioned that Prabhupada has a written translation for the next verse. This is in the Adilila, chapter 17, verse number 60 onwards. We see, I think 64, where Prabhupada writing translation. One who hears with faith and attention of this Brahmanas cursing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he will be get rid of all the curses, all Brahmanas curses, whatever curses people may have given. Everything will be come out. It will be completely removed of all those curses. One who is hearing the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's um, Chaitanya, this Brahmana cursing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is mentioned, yeah. Prabhu ne sapa varta yei sune Sradavan. Brahma sapa haite tara haya paritran. So the beautiful verses 61 to 64 from Adilila, chapter 17. So that's what here Arya Vachasa means. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was because of this curse of a Brahmana, then he has taken to then sannyas, and Agad Aranya means he has given up his mother, given up his beautiful wife, has taken sannyas to deliver the living entities. 55 already. So then it is also mentioned Arya Vachasa is also mentioning Lord Ramachandra when he appeared. So because his father has instructed Dasarath Maharaj just day before coronation, we all know that past time how. So and because of that, King Dasarath had taken, has given his boon to his wife. So then, when she asked, "Make my son Bharat Maharaj as a king," so then Dasarath Maharaj has instructed Lord Ramachandra in this way. Then, by simply following the instruction, Lord Ramachandra followed the instruction of his father Arya Vachasa and had Agad Aranyam. He left. He gave up and he left to the forest along with his wife, where it is mentioned, Maya Mrugam Daitaya Ipsidam Anvadavat. It's Maya Mrugam, where it is mentioning, Acharyas are mentioning, Maya Mrugam means one, Krishna Chakravarti Thakur is mentioning, Maya means the external energy. So we are allured by this external energy. It is also mentioning as how the wealth or bank account or wife, children. We think that in this life somebody is our wife and kids and parents, but who was there in the previous life? Who was there in the previous life? It will come with different living entities coming together, just like the in a ocean or in a river, we get different sticks come together. Or sometimes, well, when we are traveling to pilgrimage, we may meet people come together. So, like this in life, we may have different family members come together based on their combined karma appearing. So, where it is here, it is mentioned is Maya means the living entities who are entrapped, allured by this sexual energy in the form of this children, wealth, and wife. Mrugam means the living entities are attracted by this. So where it is also mentioned Maya Mrugam, Lord Ramachandra was also by attracted by the deer, especially uh, um, Sita Devi, Sita Maharani, told instructed to Lord Ramachandra, go get me that Maya deer, get me that Marichi, became a deer by this Ravana's order, Ravana's instruction. Either you will be killed by me or you follow my instruction. Then he had no choice to take the deer. And then Lord Ramchandra followed that to ran after that deer, Maya deer, under the instruction of Srimati Sita Devi. So that is explained here. Maya Mragam Daitaya Ipsitam, desiring Daitaya. But it is also mentioned as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very much merciful, Dayalu, is very merciful. Ipsita, desiring to deliver the living entities. He came, he went and traveled all over the South India. He made most South India, all Vaishnavas, everywhere, wherever he went all the way from Kanyakumari to Vrindavan, to all north, south, everywhere. Throughout India, he traveled. He gave his mercy. He associated with even the Grostas, Brahmacharis, doesn't matter. See, and he gave his mercy very freely, Anvadavat, directly, uh, uh, running after the conditioned souls and giving his mercy. And where also I was explaining. So, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Arya Vachasa, by under that Brahmana's curse he has taken, still Prabhupada himself, by Arya Vachasa, by the instruction of his spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur Goswami Prabhupada, He has come. Rather, he didn't wait for people to come to him. Rather, he left everything in India, and then he came to the Western world to preach. He traveled throughout the world 14 times plus. At the age of 70, he gave his mercy to all living entities, whether qualified or not qualified. Even if little spark was there, ready to follow, then he gave his mercy and gave so many. Uh, Already 9. Okay, that's good instruction. So Maya Mragam Daitepsidan Vadavad Elsa, and then where it means Mande Mahapurushate Charana Arvindam. So this is also very important instruction, and Jayadvaita Maharaj was sharing also. Guru Puja is very important. Prabhupada told his disciples, Guru Puja is very, very important. Sometimes sometimes we are busy in temple, we tend to neglect Guru Puja, where it is mentioned, unless we worship the lotus feet of the spiritual master, founder Acharya Prabhupada, it's very difficult. That's why where in the last purport also we see the last line, Vande Mahapurushate Charanaravindam. So that so worshipping the two lotus feet is very, very important, because that our shelter, everything is on the two lotus feet. When we are worshipping, when we are seeing the Lord also, we must see from the lotus feet and gradually look at the face. So it's a very important. So this verse is teaching us to Lord Ramachandra how he left to by under his father's instruction, and how by Brahmanas Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left and taken sannyas and given the mercy to all the conditioned souls. And Lord Krishna left also under his father's instruction to Vrindavan. And many other points are there, but I will stop here. If any questions or any realization, but one thing, if you are taking the instruction, one point we all want to take, that is give up the independence and dependent utterly to the Prabhupada, the spiritual master, and Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Then and be always in the association of Sangha of devotees. And that's what we see in Lord Ramachandra's pastimes also. Jatayu, he didn't have independence. He was actually a bird, but completely given the independence. Even he is ready to give himself. And he was killed by Ravana, even though he was small. What can I do? He didn't think like that. He was fully dependent on the Supreme. Let me protect my Lord. He tried his best. And we see that lot of one instruction, we also see a whole Ramayana, then one essential verse is there. What is that verse? Sakrut deva prapannoyas tavasmi chate achate abhayam sarvada tasmai dadami etat vratam mama. One who just one time, he surrenders unto me. Sakrut eva prapanno. Prapanna surrender. Sakrut once. Prapanna tavasmi achate is coming to me. Then abhayam sarvada tasmai. I am always giving my protection, full protection. Tasmai dadami etat vratam mama. This is my vow. Supreme Lord Sri Krishna also has given the same. Sarvadharma Parichit. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given the same. One who is surrendered fully to my holy name of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, following my instruction and simply chanting in the association of devotees, he will be attaining Krishna Prema without a doubt. So I will stop here. I have spoken enough. So I beg pardon for going over 3 minutes. Please share your realizations. Any questions, comments, please do so.
Thank you very much, Krishna, for this wonderful class. Are there any questions? Or anybody would like to share the realization pertaining to the class?
May I ask a question, please?
Yes, Prabhuji. Go ahead.
Today is Srivas Thakur's appearance day, and he is one of the Panchatattvas. So in Panchatattvas, the four, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita, and Gadadhar Pandit. The four are, we can say, the internal energy, and Shrivas Prabhu is a Jiva Tattva, who is the marginal energy. And as the incarnation of Narada Muni, he's representing the devotees, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So I'm trying to understand is when we say Shrivas Adi, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, that Adi, is it the original devotee, or does it mean along with the rest of Gaura's Bhakta, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda? So I'm looking for an explanation of Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Means the chief representative of all the jivas.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. So, based on our Sri Krishnadas, Kaviraj Goswami, and Sri Prabhupada's translations and purports, we see that. So, basically, the Panchatattva is representing the various features. Three of them are Vishnu avatar, Vishnu, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself is avatari. So, and Advaita Acharya Mahavishnu and Sadasiv. So, and the Lord Nityananda Prabhu is Balram, Krishna's first exponent. Three of them are Vishnu, Vishnu Tattvas. And then internal energy of the Lord is Gadadhar Pandit, Srimad Radharani appearing in the form of Gadadhar Pandit. And then the Srivas Thakur as pure devotee is appearing as an Narada Muni as a pure devotee, and Bhakta Avatar. So that's what these five personalities, five tattvas, we have to understand. And then when you say Srivas Adi, means to starting with pure devotee, so, and then all others. Just like in Chaitanya Charitamrita, everywhere you see that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami again and again is saying, first talking, always offering his obeisances to three personalities, and Gadadhar Pandit and Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta. Then he's offering his obeisance also to Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and 6 Goswami. Then he's beginning. Almost every chapter we see the same, or ending also we see that. So that's it's very important to be always starting with Srivas Thakur and the extra Adi Gaura Bhakta, Adi Gaura Bhakta. So that part it means what you understood is correct. That's my understanding as well. So yes, obviously mentioned Adi means I don't think it is a Narada Muni is the beginning kind of no Brahma, Vyasdev, like that parampara is there, right? So it is Adi means beginning with the pure devotees. Narada Muni is showing in this Panchatattva, especially in this Kali Yuga incarnation, Mahaprabhu appeared with his associates. So by worshipping Srivas Thakur, then we can attain understanding the mood and following how to chant, how to be attached, dependent on Sankirtan and Mahaprabhu. Then we can attain, understand the Advaita Acharya, mercy, receive mercy of Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu and Gadadhar Pandit. And then we can receive the mercy of Chaitanya. So without going through the Srivas Thakur, without going through a pure devotee, without going through a spiritual master, Sri Prabhupada, there is no possibility. We can try to surrender all life after life to Lord Krishna directly. There is no possibility to attain mercy or understand anything. So that's what it represents or it instructs is for us. Madhukar Prabhu, is that
Yeah, that's the right. Just like in the Brahma Samhita, we have Ram Adi. So that means Lord Ram, Sri Prabhupada, Lord Ram, Lord Narsingha, etc. Certain Ramadi Murti Sukalanya Mena Tistan, Nana Avatara, Krishna Swam Parama Pumanyo. Right. Lord Krishna is a Swam Bhagavan, but also Ramadi are his expansions. Similarly, Shiva Shadi, yeah. Okay, that's good.
anyone else? Any questions, comments, realization, anything?
Can you unshare the screen?
Yes, sorry. Yeah, sure. Yep.
I also wanted to share a photo. I don't know whether I have the access to share. Oh, okay.
Form?
Well, just so that devotees can get darshan of Shiva's Thakur
Yeah.
in Mayapur. And then on the same wonderful day, let me again share 1 minute. One of Srila Prabhupada's
Yeah, Sridhar
disciples, Sridhar Maharaj, that's also his disappearance day today, because he disappeared on Shiva's Thakur's appearance day. And he had been in our, when we started our yatra, Sridhar Maharaj and Rampalnath, both were the GBC of New York, New Jersey.
Wonderful preacher, witty, laughing.
Yeah. That's why his nickname was Jolly Swami.
Jolly.
Jolly Swami. And did so much wonderful service for Srila Prabhupada movement. Inspired so many devotees all around the world. That after the Panchatattva installation, his health was not well during Panchatattva installation itself, and he bathed Gauranga Mahaprabhu on Panchatattva installation, and then after the Panchatattva were installed, that appearance day of Shiva Thakur, he left his body on Shiva Thakur's appearance day.
I sent you a picture, Prabhu. Can you show that picture? That is Shadbhuj form. A very rare picture. I forget. I think this is from Ambika Kalan, I think.
You send me the picture by
To your WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. I'm connected to my. Okay, let me see. Hold on for 1 moment. No. Can you send me by email by any chance? If you
Yeah.
can.
Let me see.
Connect to my laptop.
To your Gmail?
Yeah, Gmail.
Yeah, send it.
Okay, it should come. Any other questions, realizations in the meantime?
Devakana Prabhu, you are there? No, he's not there.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Krishna Prabhu.
Srinivas Prabhu, yes, Prabhu.
Hari Bol. Very happy to see you after a long time.
Thank you, yes.
Hari Bol. Wonderful class, Prabhu. I feel very blessed to hear such a wonderful class.
All glories to Sri Prabhupada. All glories to all the devotees. By all your blessings, I'm able to speak something.
No, it's really good.
My voice
really
is
good, actually.
My voice is not full, in that full normal thing. I take the mercy of the Supreme Lord that I have been given a rest for a few weeks. So that just need to. That's the one of my lesson. Be dependent. Don't try to become independent. Be dependent. Whatever we go through, we just become dependent. That's all. The Lord and devotees.
Fantastic. Very nice to hear that comments, Prabhu. Will definitely help us to realize everyone individually. Hari Bol.
Yeah, this is the picture, I think, from Ambika Kalan, where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is showing his six-armed form with his cohort stick and flute of Lord Krishna, arrow and bow of Lord Ramachandra, and then Kamandalu and water, Danda and Kamandalu of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yeah, it is a unique picture. I think this is from Ambika, if I remember correctly. Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, we'll have quick announcements and we'll end the session. Anyone has a logistic questions or anything? If not, we'll have quick.
But Govindas is on,
Yeah, good.
and April 7th is Ekadasi. Wednesday, April 7th.
Yes, bro.
Minimally fasting from grains and beans and increasing our Krishna consciousness. We'll also have our Govindas on that day. Sarmi Ekadasi Prasadam from 2 p.m. itself. Then Parna time is
6:38.
6:28 to 10:48.
Yeah, that is also important day where Govinda Ghosh, I think he left on Ekadasi, and on Dwadasi day, it's also kind of Govinda Dwadasi, they say, because Govinda Ghosh, one of the great singer and associate of Lord Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Lord Shri Radha Gopinath himself, his own deity, he has given this blessing that I myself will perform your Shraddha, because he was worried who's going to perform. So that is the day when Agartha Dweep or Agartha, the place. It's a big festival every year. Devotees join there every year. This happens, this festival. Lord himself is performing Shraddha ceremony of Govinda Ghosh. So that is the April 8th. Today evening class, please join on Srivas Thakur 8 to 9. Glories of Srivas Thakur. And I think Ram Navami is on April 21st.
April 21st is Ram Navami.
Yeah, April 21st, Wednesday is Ram. Yeah. So we have wonderful speakers lined up. So next week and next few weeks, His Holiness or GBC Deva Amrita Swami Maharaj speaking on I think 18th evening, right? So, and then 25th is Grace.
25th is Radhika Raman Prabhu is speaking. 18th.
Evening. So 18th morning is Holiness Jananand Goswami Maharaj speaking. And then we have 11th is Grace Amogha Leela Prabhu speaking, 11th next Sunday morning. And Sunday evening, I think, is Grace Ananda Mohan from Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, disciple president of Calcutta Temple. So wonderful speakers lined up. For 25th also we have a wonderful speaker today. So yeah. 25th evening is Radhika Raman Prabhu, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 25th morning also I reached out to someone, so waiting. So anyone has any questions or logistics or darshan or questions, Govindas or anything? If not, we can end the session. Okay.
We wish you all a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead and offer our humble obeisances. Thus with all assembled Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa
Sindhu Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Jai
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai